Hello, good morning and welcome to the brand new edition of the newspaper show right here on ET Now. I'm Shel D'Souza and I'll take you through the top headlines and the stories that's there on the Economic Times as well as the Times of India for you. So let's get going with the top headlines that's there on the Economic Times this morning. And first up is GST Council may look at rationalising rates. Moving on, most economic indicators show improvement in the growth. Customs begin clearing Chinese shipments. You have World Bank that's announced $750 million for MSMEs. Curbs on nations illegally holding Indian land. TikTok may challenge government ban order. On to the auto space then. Tesla races ahead of Toyota as the most valuable. Axis Bank in talks to raise up to $1.2 billion, and that's an ET Now exclusive that we broke for you. Moving on, Railways private train project gathers steam. And lastly, retail gold prices goes past 50,000 per 10-gram mark. Moving on now to the top headlines on the markets front in the Economic Times for you. And first up is 10,551, a key hurdle for a Nifty. MSCI defers raising India's weightage. You have NASDAQ that's set for record on vaccine hope. HDFC, AMC, 10 others may enter the F&O segment. And lastly, Chinese banks go slow on large loans. From market now to the corporate headlines. Auto sales pick up in June but down on a year-on-year basis. You have special liquidity schemes for NBFCs and HFCs. SEBI probes recent rally in Ruchi Soya as well as Alok Industries. You have Adani Ports that's planning to raise $1 billion in overseas debt. And lastly, TA buys over 2% in NSE for $150 million. And those are the top headlines that's there on the Economic Times for you from the market front as well as the corporate funds front. But let me get going with the top story that's there on the Economic Times for you. And this is the story that I'm going to talk about. And this is about the curbs on curbs on companies from nation illegally holding Indian lands. The proposal is made to amend clause to target companies from China. I'll read directly off the newspaper what the story is talking about. So as tensions have run high along the border with China, the government is examining a proposal to impose trade and procurement curbs on companies from nations illegally occupying Indian territory, specifically those active in territories such as Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. Economic Times has gathered that while a final call is yet to be taken, high-level discussions are underway to scrutinize the proposal threadbare and discuss its implementation and business implications. Any decision would directly impact Chinese firms as the northern neighbor illegally has occupied 38,000 square kilometers of Indian territory in Ladakh, and also Pakistan, which has occupied a part of Kashmir, has ceded over 5,000 square kilometers in the Shaksham Valley to China. So if the proposal is accepted, the curbs are likely to be brought through changes in the public procurement preferences to make in India order of 2017. This is as per sources. So this is underway. The talks are underway. The discussions are underway. Government is looking at curbs on companies from nations that are illegally holding Indian land. So it is basically targeting companies, the Chinese companies, or even from the neighbor Pakistan. So this is what it is basically talking about, mainly aimed at Chinese companies. Let me shift focus now to Tesla, to the auto space, and this is also there in the front page of front page of Economic Times. And there you go. Tesla has actually taken over Toyota as the most valuable automaker. The shares have gained 5% to $1,133, boosting company's market cap to $209.47 billion. So Tesla has now actually become the highest valued automakers as its shares soar to record highs, and the electric car makers' market capitalization overtook that of the former front-runner, that is Toyota Motors. Tesla shares gained 5%, like I said earlier also. Roughly $6 billion more than that of Toyota. That is the market capitalization of Tesla, which is $6 billion more than that of Toyota. Tesla is now worth more than triple the combined value of US automakers General Motors and Ford Motors. So that is a big top headline coming in this morning from the auto space, and that Tesla has overtaken Toyota as the valuable car maker. Let me now shift focus and let me talk about another story that's there on the page 1, and that is talking about the customs. They have begun clearing stuck Chinese shipments. This is after the representations made from the industry. So there's no physical checks if bills of entry is filed till June 30th. Indian customs have begun clearing shipments of Chinese origin that had been stuck on the ports for the past because of the tensions that escalated. Consignments have started moving on Wednesday after several representations coming in from the industry, multiple industry bodies to various ministries including finance, commerce and industry, chemicals and fertilizers and MSME, as well as the PMO. So for now, if you see that the Chinese shipments have started now being cleared at the customs. Let's move on now. Another story that's there on the page 2 of Economic Times. Just give me a moment while I flip through the pages, and this is about the de-escalation talks with China that is ongoing, and you have the defense minister that is set to actually go ahead and visit Ladakh on Friday. The Corps commander level talks at Tushul discuss disengagement as at the face of sites along the line of actual control, but were not conclusive. Rationalising, who has been monitoring the situation on the border on a daily basis, is expected to meet the top military commanders in Leh and interact with soldiers deployed in Ladakh on Friday. So this is the latest development coming in. The defense minister is set to visit Ladakh on Friday. Let's shift focus now to TikTok, and looks like TikTok is considering legal options. And what are they, and what are they planning to do, and why is it? I'm joined by my colleague Chandra to take us through. Chandra, good morning. Important development coming in that that TikTok is considering legal options.
That's right. TikTok, which is owned by ByteDance, was one of the 59 Chinese apps that the government banned on Monday. Now, Economic Times reports that TikTok is considering legal options against the ban, and it has held discussions with a Mumbai-based law firm on Tuesday on how the government ban could be challenged in courts. Interestingly, reports emerged yesterday that Mukul Rohatgi refused to represent TikTok in this case. What we also understand is that TikTok is planning to approach the government next week with its contention that it did not misuse the data. So depending on the response received from the government, it will initiate legal action. Remember, TikTok has over 2,000 employees in India. Yesterday, you had TikTok's global CEO, Kevin Mayers, address a town hall where he reassured employees that everything would be all right. So the company wants to explore all options possible, but I think they will wait to make a representation to the government based on the feedback they receive. They will initiate legal action on the grounds of principles of natural justice.
All right, Chanda, thank you for taking us through the important development coming in on the TikTok and the ban front. Let's shift focus now to page 8 of Economic Times, and this is a story that I'm going to talk about. That is, SEBI is actually probing the recent rally in Ruchi Soya as well as Alok Industries. They've sought details of unusual trades in both the scripts from stock exchanges. The lower float has resulted in price jump. That is the word coming in from the brokers. So the Securities and Exchange Board of India, that is SEBI, is probing into the recent jump in the share prices of Ruchi Soya as well as Alok Industries. The market regulator has actually sought details of unusual trades in both the stocks from stock exchanges. This is as per sources who know of the matter. They've told Economic Times this particular development. Ruchi Soya, like we all know, was acquired by Baba Ramdev's Patanjali Group through a bankruptcy sale and has been one of the top performers on the Dalal Street of late. So this is one of the reasons why basically SEBI is looking at probing the recent jump in the stock prices in Ruchi Soya as well as Alok Industries. You've seen massive surge coming in for both of those counters in a recent time. So now, right now, they are on SEBI's lens. Let's move forward now and let's talk about another story that's there on the page 9 of Economic Times, and this is what it is. Eligibility norms have been eased for FPIs, and to talk more on the story and what sort of easing has been done, Jayesh is standing by to take us through the story. Good morning, Jayesh. Take us through the story that's there on the Economic Times.
Good morning. So what has happened is India has actually eased the eligibility criteria for investment funds to set up the category 1 FPIs, which includes sovereign funds, pension funds, and regulated entities, including offshore funds. Now, this is essentially done to avail the tax benefits retrospectively from September 23rd, 2019. And now these funds, which are registered under SEBI, do not need to adhere to certain conditions, which is, having a minimum number of 25 members, none of them having more than 10% participation interest, and the aggregate participation interest of 10 members not exceeding 50%. Now, this will, actually benefit from India's special taxation regime. Also, experts said that the notification also aligns with the tax rules with the amended SEBI regulations that were put in place, and also given the political upheaval in active fund jurisdictions like Hong Kong and other countries which are vying for economic activity post COVID-19, this amendment should actually help India to build or to be looked upon as a long-term fund jurisdiction and encourage more fund managers to relocate to India for active fund management. So positive news coming in as far as these funds are concerned.
All right, Jayesh, thank you for taking us through the developments on that particular front. Let's shift focus now back onto the page 1 of Economic Times, and this is what it is. It is about the GST Council is looking to rationalize rates. Let me talk more on the story right off from the paper for you. GST Council may look at rationalizing the rates. Fewer slabs could be considered at next meeting. Compensation to the state is also on the agenda. That is the word coming in from the Finance Secretary. So talking more on this particular story, this is what Ajay Bhushan Pandey actually spoke to Economic Times, and he said the GST Council could consider rationalization of levy, including reducing the number of slabs and improvement in IT systems. This is the word coming in from Finance Secretary, like I said, Ajay Bhushan Pandey to Economic Times, adding that the issue of compensation to the state also is being discussed actively. Among several suggestions to improve revenues and spending powers of the states is the option of the council borrowing from the market to pay the compensation to the state. So this is what is under discussion in the GST Council, and they may likely to take it up very soon, is about the rationalization of the rates. Compensation to the states is also on the agenda. Let's shift focus now to the NBFCs and HFC space. The RBI had come out with the condition for the special liquidity schemes for NBFCs as well as HFCs yesterday. I'm joined by my colleague Poonam to take us through what are those criteria and what is the RBI saying.
Well, good morning. In fact, if you look at the government of India, they have gone ahead and approved a scheme in order to improve the liquidity position of NBFCs, HFCs, as well as the MFIs to an SPV in order to avoid any potential systemic risk to the entire financial system. Under that scheme, the government has stated that the SBI Capital, which is a subsidiary of State Bank of India, would be setting up an special purpose vehicle in order to manage this entire scheme. This SPV will in fact be purchasing the short-term papers from eligible NBFCs and HFCs, and these NBFCs and HFCs would then utilize the proceeds under the scheme solely in order to extinguish their existing liabilities. The instruments will be CPs and NCDs with a residual maturity of not more than 3 months and rated as investment grade. And do know that the RBI also mentions that this facility will not be available for any paper which are issued after September 30th, and the SPV would cease to make any fresh purchases after September 30th, 2020, and these dues would be recovered by December 31st. Now, why this entire scheme? Well, if you look at the entire sector, nearly 1.2 lakh crore worth of CPs issued by the NBFCs are due to mature between June 20 to June 21, and of which 50% would be coming up for redemption between July and September, and hence a lot of these smaller as well as the mid-sized NBFCs do need liquidity in order to meet their own liabilities, and hence this entire SPV would help them to manage their liquidity position better. And I guess this move is certainly positive for all the mid and smaller NBFCs, HFCs as well as the MFIs.
All right, Poonam, thank you for taking us through that important story and the important development that came in later towards the market close about the RBI notifying the special liquidity schemes for NBFCs and HFCs, and also laying down the criteria for it. But let me shift focus now and to Times of India, and this is a story that's there on the Times of India business page 13, and this is the story that I'm going to talk about, and that data theft security issues key in selecting the 5G vendors. Move comes after US tags Huawei as well as ZTE national security risks. Talking more on this, a day after the US Communication Department tagged Chinese telecom vendors Huawei as well as ZTE as national security risk, this government sources in India have asserted that the concerns over data theft and security implications will actually shape the crucial call on deciding the 5G vendors for India. The 5th generation telecom technology, that is 5G as we all know it, is absolutely crucial for accelerating and deepening the Digital India campaign. We also need to factor in cost consideration, but considerations of integrity of data of Indian citizens and national security will be given utmost importance when the decision is made. This is as per a senior government source who spoken to Times of India, saying that data theft and security issues will be key in selecting the 5G vendors. Remember, the move comes in after US has tagged Huawei as well as ZTE as national security risks. Let me now shift focus on to a story that's there on the page 7 of Economic Times, and this is on Axis Bank. The board is all set to meet today. As per sources to ET Now, yesterday we broke an exclusive story that they are going to look to announce a $1.2 billion fundraising. So Economic Times also has a similar story, and they have little more details on it. So I'll just go through it right from this paper for you. Axis Bank's in talks with PE funds to raise up to $1.2 billion. That you heard first on ET Now. At least $800 million to $1 billion could be in the form of QIP. Bank's board is all set to meet today to pass an enabling resolution. Carlyle, Bain, GIC and Fidelity are among the PEs that is in discussion with Axis Bank also. So private lender Axis Bank could raise as much as $1.2 billion through an equity share sale and join a growing list of Indian banks taking advantage of the galloping share prices to ring fence their balance sheets from COVID-19 related stress. So this is the one crucial development that we will be watching closely on is the Axis Bank board meet, where even as per Economic Times sources, they are all set to look to announce a fundraising. Let me now shift focus from banks and something that will move the process for all of us, for Indians who are in love with gold. Here's a story on Times of India business page 13, and this is what it is. The retail gold prices has surged past 50,000 rupees for per 10 grams. To talk more on this, the impact of this, and why such a move, I'm joined by my colleague Mubina to take us through the details. Mubina, good morning. Take it away.
Indian gold prices first showed an indication of crossing the 50,000 rupee mark per 10 grams last week when the 24-carat gold of 99.99% purity, including GST, was being priced at beyond 50,000 rupees per 10 grams. But now it looks like more and more mandis, more and more bazaars are demanding a 50,000 rupees sum for 10 grams of gold. Now, do remember that this is purely being supported by the sort of rally we are witnessing in international prices. Couple that with the depreciation in the rupee, because fundamentally demand for gold in India is low, and I guess it's unsurprising as well, right? I mean, this is not the season to buy jewelry. The rural markets are more concentrated on buying agri-related products and spending on agri-related things. So you could perhaps be looking at, taking gold loans as opposed to, taking loans that, or rather, as opposed to buying gold. So demand for gold is still low, but nevertheless, gold prices, purely because of sentiment, are going higher. The whole safe haven buying bit is going higher. Remember that last night we did have international gold prices shooting beyond the $1,800 per ounce mark. This would be at an 8-year high, not an all-time record high, of course. So many factors propelling prices abroad, and that in turn is trickling in to the retail market. MCX gold is still below 49,000, with retail markets, gold prices have surged past 50,000, including GST.
All right, thank you, Mubina, for taking us through the crucial development coming in on that precious metal front. Let's shift focus now and let's talk about the top 5 headlines as they're on the Times of India this morning for you. And first up, let's start with the India COVID tally. It has breached the 6 lakh mark, a big headline coming in on that front. Moving on, India's ban will boost its integrity. That's the word coming in from Mike Pompeo. Moving on to Priyanka Gandhi Vadra has been asked to vacate her official Delhi home. You have Nitin Gadkari, who yesterday said that Chinese companies are barred from road projects. And Section 144 has been reimposed in Mumbai until July 15.